I watched a Packer game yesterday. I mean, I've come to the conclusion that the Packers are the worst team in the league. Period. They really are.
Yeah, they're one of the worst.
And I'm going to get into
I didn't add the highlights.
And I'm going to get into that. Thank you. There's nothing
It was
to be.
to save you from despair.
I'm going to get into a whole big Packer rant. Maybe we can make it a standalone segment and hashtag it up Green Bay this and Green Bay that. Let me and get it into a few groups and forums and things like that, because I think I'm going to break down why the Packers suck so bad. And nobody has been a longer time Packer fan dating back to me. I mean, like, how many people would know that Jim Zorn started quarterback for Green Bay in 1986 against the Bears?
Not many.
Not many.
I mean, 1985.
I sure didn't know that.
Lynn Dickey got tweaked. It was his last year, and they put Jim Zorn, left-handed Willie, in there in the November game of the 85 Bears.
I only thought he was on the Seahawks and Bucks.
No, he was actually he actually started a few games.
Oh, wow.
Lynn Dickey for the Packers in 85 got sacked 7 times against the Rams, like in game 5 or 6, and he went to the this is a true story. He went to Forrest Gregg. Now, they just traded for Lynn Dickey years ago from the Houston Oilers, because Houston Oilers had Dan Pastorini. I think like in 1971, the Oilers actually picked Dan Pastorini in the first round. Then they didn't have a second round. And then in the third round, they picked another quarterback in Lynn Dickey. What team picks 2 quarterbacks in 1 and 3 when one's supposed to be your guy, and Pastorini went on to have a good career in Ohio for the Oilers? But you picked a guy third. Who would do that?
Not many.
So Lynn Dickey gets traded to the Packers. He has a pretty damn good career. Not too bad. Packers trade away John Hadel and like another backup quarterback. The Oilers. Who the hell was running that team? Yeah. You trade Lynn Dickey, a backup quarterback, for another backup quarterback and another backup quarterback. Jesus.
It's not good
Quarterbacks
management.
weren't even as important to the game as they are now.
Was that the dad of the GM of the Packers now?
I don't know.
Draft Jordan Love when you have Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Who would you rather have right now? If you were picking a team, if you were Bubba coach, Bubba general manager, and you had Jordan Love and the hurt guy,
Aaron Rodgers,
up on the draft.
Please.
Who would you take?
Please, come on, please.
Would you take? You'd take broken Aaron Rodgers over Jordan Love?
The broken Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be broken had he stayed with the Packers. They don't play on turf. Yeah. This was completely a turf-related injury. I'm just telling you.
I'm talking next year. Next year's team.
I'm going to get into my Packers rant a little bit later.
Okay.
I got a whole big thing. And let me, if this Brian Gutekunst doesn't get fired either in the next day or two, or at least by the end of the year, then I don't know what to tell the Packers. You guys are just apps. 2 years ago, you had Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, and Devontae Adams. And you had arguably the 3. They're all top 3 in their own position. Devontae Adams might be one, wide receiver 1 or 2. Aaron Jones is running back 1 through 5, and Aaron Rodgers, when healthy, is a top 5 quarterback. You had that. You had that until 2020. Some stupid ass general manager who hasn't had a successful draft yet decides to move up to pick a guy from Utah State that only started his senior year and had not really that good of a year.
No.
Jordan Love. Nobody even had this guy on the quarterback charts.
Yeah, not for the first round. Maybe late second.
They had him
round.
as a late second, early third. We move up without telling Aaron Rodgers. We don't even have the decency to tell Aaron Rodgers, our Hall of Fame franchise quarterback, hey, listen, who do you think? We're thinking about maybe 4, 5, 6 years. You might not want to play anymore, so we need to start grooming somebody. What do you think, Aaron? That's what Tampa Bay did when they picked Trask out of Gainesville. Mm-hmm. They went to Tom Brady and said, Tom, which one of these ass buckets quarterbacks that you like that you could potentially train? Well, he didn't. Listen, let's just say that maybe Tom Brady is not the best at picking quarterbacks either.
No.
But I'm just saying, they at least had the common decency to let him know that Aaron Rodgers has to find out about Jordan Love on the way on ESPN, where we all find out who get drafted.
Yeah, he's watching the draft with his buddies.
Yeah. And so that started this whole chain of events. Brian Gutekunst, you are such an ass bucket. You have destroyed the Green Bay Packers. It was just 2 years ago they were in the NFC Championship game. My Lord.
What is that?
You
What the
ass bucket. And your draft is why the Packers didn't win a Super Bowl in the 2 out of 4 years that they were, maybe 3. I don't know if they were in the 3 in the NFC Championship game, if they were in it 3 times in a row or 2 times in a row.
So,
once they got beat by Tampa and once they got beat by, I think, San Fran.
So who were like the 2 notable guys that they passed up to get Jordan Love?
A lot.
Oh, my God, the Jefferson kid from Minnesota, Metcalf, the kid from Detroit, just a bunch a people.
So you think the team would have been a lot better instead of having
send me the 2020 draft. Send me the 2020
I sent it to you.
draft. And this is who the Green Bay Packers picked over Jordan Love. And now mind you, not only did you draft Jordan Love, but you pissed off your Hall of Fame quarterback. All right, so the Packers moved up. Where were they here? Okay, so they move up to 26. They were up. They were like 31st. I don't know why they were.
It's like 30th. Yeah, 30th. They traded it with the Dolphins.
Right. All right. So here are the people that they could have had. Let me look and see if any of these kids are.
Well, you got.
I know T. Higgins from Clemson has been unbelievable.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know about these offensive linemen and stuff. Rhett, your mic is up. I don't know if Jordan Brooks, Patrick Queen, Isaiah Thompson, Noah Jeff Gladley, Clarence Hyde.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's a running back for the Chiefs.
Well, I know Michael Pittman Jr. is pretty damn good.
Yes, DeAndre Swift's a pretty good running back.
Yeah, I mean, look at all these guys they could have got.
Taylor
Jonathan Taylor from the Colts, Anton Winfield from the Bucks, right?
I mean, if you looked at a quarterback realistically, you could have got Jalen Hurts.
You could have got Jalen Hurts. You could have got Jalen Hurts. This goes on and just talks about
Jalen Hurts is turning out to be a superstar.
Yeah, well,
and so Jordan Love's an ass clown. So I understand.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts goes. Hold on. Jalen Hurts goes 53rd, which the Packers at that point, Lummy, could have got him without having to trade up, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian Gutekunst completely destroyed this team. I'm going to get into that, as a rant, as a standalone discussion later today. But I watched them yesterday, and I was just like, "Oh my God, am I watching the Mike Sherman 2005, or am I watching the Ray Rhodes coached Green Bay Packers? Am I watching David Whitehurst? Jesus, the team. This might be, Lummy, out of all the teams I've watched. You got to understand, as a grown adult, I started watching the Green Bay Packers with my dad like in 1972, where I really did understand football because I was playing football back. I was at that point. I was like, 7.
Oh, nice.
We were playing flag football at that time. So I start understanding the game, and like in 1972 or so, I'm watching Dan Devine as the coach, and John Brockington and John Hadel, and they're just all a bunch of ass buckets. They made, I think, after Vincent Lombardi left in 68, 69, they made the playoffs again in 72, and then I don't think they made it again until 82, which was a strike, like a scab season. Remember that scab season they had?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they didn't make it again until like Holmgren came finally. After they had Lindy and Fonnie, Forrest Gregg, Dan Devine, Bart Starr, Phil Bingston, Ray Rhodes, Mike Sherman. They had all Lindy and Fonte. They had all these, the leanest years as a Green Bay Packer was 1970 to like, when did they, 97. From 70 to like 97. So I think in 97 didn't they make the Super Bowl in 96 and won it?
Yeah,
all right.
But yeah.
So from 1968 to 1995, how many years is that?
It's 25 plus.
Yeah, 25. I think it was 30 years since they'd been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they had a dry spell.
So 30 years of the Green Bay Packers just sucking. And as a fan, let me before they had, modern day NFL Sunday Ticket where you could go and just get it right there on your TV any which way, whether it's YouTube TV, whether it's like, if you're an NFL fan, even if you don't have, satellite or cable, you can watch every game through the NFL Sunday Ticket now through YouTube TV.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can. There's no excuse for you not to. Even if you were like an obscure fan, like a Seattle Seahawks fan, you're not talking about living in Tampa, Florida, or like you were a New England Patriots fan, where you're just not gonna get the regional game very often. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people with cable and network television, they only get they'll get two games on Fox. And now they're getting Thursday. No, they're not. You can't get Thursday night football, but you can get 3 games on. You can get 4 games on Sunday because you got the NBC night game.
Yes.
Then you got CBS has 2 and Fox has 1, or Fox has 1 and CBS has 2.
Yeah.
So you can get 4 games on Sunday, and then you can get a game on Monday.
Yeah.
The Thursday game, they lock it down to Amazon Prime. But there's just no excuse for you not to be able to watch every game of your favorite team, no matter where you live and no matter where they are. Before, if you wanted to watch every Packer game, you had to live like in the Green Bay area. Right, Tampa. And if you lived in Tampa, and you wanted to watch every Buccaneer game, less, having the NFL Sunday Ticket, or going down to your local sports bar, and they had remember they had the big satellite.
Yeah,
but the problem was, a lot of times because the Bucs failed to sell out.
Yeah, we didn't get them.
They wouldn't even broadcast the home games.
Oh, I grew up on the radio listening.
Yeah. So at that point, man, back in the day, they had a rule, they had a blackout rule that if you didn't sell out your stadium by Saturday morning or Friday night, 48 hours, then they didn't even televise your game. No, you didn't even get it. You didn't even get the game locally.
We would really only be able to watch like half the Bucs games.
Right, but this year, man, I mean, now you can literally. There's no excuse for you not to watch every one of your favorite teams. So I have watched the Green Bay Packers since 1972, and I gotta think that this year's that's going through some pretty lean years. David Whitehurst as the coach, Jim Zorn. As the quarterback, Jim Zorn as the quarterback. Randy Wright from Wisconsin as my quarterback. I think Rick Meyer played a few games back in the in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. The Packers were trying to find themselves. They really didn't become good till they got Mike Holmgren. That's when they finally and Ted Thompson or Ron Wolf as the general manager. Ron Wolf and Ted Thompson, the 2 general managers during the last 30 years that they've been good. Ron Wolf is the guy. It was a first-year general manager, Lummy, and you know what he took a chance on? Brett Favre. Brett Favre was the number. He was the first person taken in the second round. In the draft by the Falcons, and Jerry Glanville, he was the coach, the general manager, and him fought because he hated Favre, and Favre sat the bench for his rookie year for Atlanta, and he was never going to play
because the general manager didn't like him.
No, because the coach Jerry Glanville. Glanville said, "Brett Favre, I will check myself into the game and play quarterback before you do."
Why?
He didn't like him.
He hated him.
Why?
Because he hated him. We don't know why. He just didn't like him. And so he would tell Brett Favre, "Hey, country time, you will not get in this game today. I don't care if the number 1 guy breaks his leg. I'll put the punter in before I put you in."
What a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was.
For real. And Brett Favre would stay drunk and high on pills all day. And he would actually, how he made his money is he would bet players whether he could throw the ball into the top deck or not. And for $20. So while they were out there practicing before the coach came, Favre had a hustle going on, betting players whether he could throw it into the top deck or not. And he'd make like $150, $200 from these rookies and stuff that thought there was no way that stupid ass could get the ball into the third ring, and Favre got it every time. And he was drunk every night, and his brother lived with him, and he was just whatever. Well, there's this guy named Ron Wolf. He was the general manager for the Jets. And they were like 2 or 3 spots behind the Falcons in the draft order, and he wanted Favre more than anything. He was the general manager for the Jets, and he wanted Favre more than anything, and Atlanta took him. So then in the offseason, Ron Wolf left the Jets and became the general manager for the Packers, like late December, early January, and he called up Atlanta and said, "Hey, man, I'm interested in Favre." And they're like, "Please take him from him." Like I think it might have been a second round, Lummy. I don't know what Green Bay gave for Favre. And then the Packers, all through the Ted Thompson era, Ted Thompson went out and got Reggie White as a free agent.
Wolf signed Reggie White, but
Ron Wolf did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Ted Thompson was after Ron Wolf.
Yeah.
And so again, the Packers were very active, and then after Ron Wolf, Ted Thompson comes in. Ted Thompson's first major decision. I think you'll see a common trend here. Ted Thompson's major decision is, hey, Favre's on his last 3 years here. We can just tell he's retiring, not retiring. We don't know what to do. We need to go out and find us our next quarterback. He goes out and drafts a guy from California, University of Cal, named Aaron Rodgers. And for 3 years, Aaron Rodgers held Brett Favre's clipboard. Finally, Favre started playing those cute games. They had seen Rodgers in practice for nearly, 3 years. They knew how good he was. And they're like, this guy will be able to step in and do it. And he did. So then this new dude comes in named, that's general manager. So the first general manager, Lummy, was Ron Wolf, and he's the one that traded for Favre, right?
Yes.
The next general manager was Ted Thompson, and he determined that Favre was on the last couple years. I need to go get Aaron Rodgers. I think both of those worked out nicely, right?
Yes, they did.
This
Yes,
ass
they
bucket, Brian Gutekunst, whatever the hell his name is, he says, I think Aaron Rodgers might be getting a little long in the tooth, might only have 2 or 3 more years left. Let me move up and get this guy from Utah State. He's not even projected on any. There's not another team or Mel Kiper or all the experts that had Love anything sooner than late second, early third.
And the thing about Aaron Rodgers, real quick, is that Aaron Rodgers could have went number 1.
Right.
And he fell to the Packers at 27.
Right. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was a top 10, arguably a top 5 pick. So when he starts dropping for whatever reason, Ted Thompson stole him.
Yes.
Well, stole him at 26 or whatever hell it was. So then they go out and get this guy. They're like, hey, Aaron Rodgers is getting a little old. Let's draft this guy. No, let's not draft a Jalen Hurts or anything like that. Let's draft a guy that nobody wants in our first round.
The nice thing is at least the Packers doesn't have to worry about losing the playoffs anymore because they're never getting there with Jordan Love.
That's great. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you. You're really, really starting on great terms today.
Sorry.
So anyway. This guy, this Brian Gutekunst, what's his general manager, what's he known for? He's known for, at one time, he had Davante Adams, Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers just 2 years ago on his team. And now he's got Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and Romeo Doubs.
Yeah.
That's what he's got. That's what you got. And you got fleeced for Rodgers. You only got a second for him because he got hurt. And you got a 22nd pick for Davante Adams. And so you got Quay Walker, the linebacker from Georgia. No, from Clemson. I think he might have been from Clemson. Either Clemson or Georgia. And Christian Watson. You got a 22 and here's the thing here's last year's draft, Lummy. So they trade away Davante Adams and they get a number 22. With that, they pick Quay Walker. Okay, well, I don't think that there's a very fair comparison as to who the better player there is.
No.
For however long. Quay Walker's a rookie linebacker who's mediocre at best. And so the Packers are so desperate now that they're having to interview. Did you know every one of their 7 picks that made the team this year from the first are starters?
It's not.
How bad is it when your first draft pick, your draft pick, every one of those guys end up being starters? Even the 7th round ass bucket offensive lineman is a starter now.
That's not good.
You're done. And you're a horrible general manager. You give away number 22, Davante Adams, for a guy named Quay Walker, rookie. Then you put in, they get the 59th pick from the Jets, or they get a second round from somebody, and a 53rd. So the Packers throw in their 59th. So they give up their 53rd and their 59th to pick Christian Watson, wide receiver, North Dakota State, who's been hurt all but 2 games. So you give up Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers for Quay Walker and Christian Watson. I mean, honest to God, we could have Walker, Lummy's 2-year-old, pick guys better than this ass bucket. This is ridiculous. And don't forget, Lummy, the drafting of Love is what caused all the drama that you're dealing with right now. Let's also not forget that you give David Bakhtiari the largest contract in NFL history for an offensive tackle at the time. He has the largest so you give that guy, I think it's a $96 million deal. Tackle. And by the way, he hasn't played since. He's played 2 games in nearly 3 years. Like, boy, that's a real good one. That's a good. You let Aaron Rodgers go for a rookie linebacker from Georgia who hasn't done nothing, and you let Devontae Adams go for Christian Watson, little known, tweaked, not been healthy yet. Wide receiver from North Dakota.
Did you the 28th pick that they had in the first round, the Devontae Wyatt?
Oh yeah, Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle, Georgia. Who listen, all the Georgia guys are good, but are they going to be instantaneous plug and play? Starters. Very rarely is your draft pick a starter. And when he is, you got a stud. Or when he is, you're pathetic. One of the two. If your guy that you draft this year, positions 1 through 7, because there's 7 rounds, if they start for your team, they're either 1, an absolute stud. Remember the Tristan Wirfs kid we had out of Iowa? The Bucks draft this offensive lineman named Tristan Wirfs. He was a guard or a tackle from, I think, Iowa.
He started as a guard.
And, oh, my God, as a guard, offensive lineman, rookie, comes into the league and looks like a 10-year veteran. Like, he's a stud. You get some of those. You get the Jalen Hurts. You get some of those. Who's the kid from Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
You get some of those. You get some guys that come in and are immediately pretty damn good. Then the other guys that you're starting are because your team sucks that bad. That's the only 2 parameters. You start a rookie because 1, he is just that special and you can tell. Or 2, your team is so depleted that that's the best guys you can put up there. I think the Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. I know that for a fact. And Jesus, I just for the life of me cannot wrap my head around the fact that you had Aaron Rodgers, you had Aaron Jones. You still got him, and you had Devontae Adams just 2 years ago before Gutekunst wants to do the ultimate. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I get it. I'm pissed off. If you're an All-Pro, by the way, you just came off the MVP season. You just came off the MVP season, and during the off season of your MVP season, Lummy, which I think might have been your 3rd in a row.
Yeah. Stud.
You just came off your 3rd in the row MVP season. You probably are the greatest quarterback on the planet statistically. And your team moves up to draft an unknown ass bucket from Utah State and doesn't even have the common courtesy to tell you that. You have to find out about it like everybody else on ESPN. At that point, the guy that made that decision and pissed off our Hall of Fame quarterback and dismantled our team needs to be fired. I mean, how else do you score it? How else do you score it?
Fire him.
You've got to get rid of the guy. The bad thing about the Packers is they're not owned by a single individual, so it's a whole board of directors, and the president has to get their approval. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
Do you know how long his contract is?
No, I don't.
Love? Or the
No,
GM?
the GM.
Whatever. I'm so pissed off right now. Anyway, back in a minute. Say that.
He probably shouldn't have said that.
That kind of frank dialogue troubles me.
More of the Bubba the Love Sponge show after this.
Bubba does a Packer rant as a individual, because we can put that in Packer.